I'm here with another journal page, obviously, but this time I'm working in my Black Creative 8 by 8 Delusions journal. I haven't done much in this yet, but I did do a page on Ustream recently, and what I'm thinking of doing is just doing the one page. Why I showed you that other page is because I used the same colours today in the background as I did in that other page, and I love the way that that distress paint looks on there once you pat it. So that was bundled sage, and I wanted to do some more because I know that the central part of that page is not going to be seen, so a lot of that bundled sage will be lost and you can't see it. So I've spritzed it all with water and then patted it down and drying in between. So I'm using some Americana soft jade acrylic paint here, and it doesn't work as well once you water it down, because I think it's because the distress paints are reactive. I did like how that top left hand bit looked. And now bringing in some blue, and this time it's Australian blue gum. It's also spritzed with water. This page has a lot of layers on it. I think because I write down what products I use so that when I do the blog post and when I edit the video, I know exactly what it is that I've used. 2.5 pages worth of product. And this is a PBO paint. It's the iridescent blue-green. Again, spritzing it with water and patting it down. I don't know why I ended up patting it down because it doesn't do the same thing as the distress paints. And this is bright aqua green here. So again, sticking with the blues and the greens. Now, a full list of the products used on this page will be on my blog, and there'll be a link below in the description of the video. Using some Sennelier turquoise abstract acrylic paint, again spritzed with water. And I saw an image of a canvas, I'm pretty sure it was a canvas that was done by a lady, and I just loved the look of it, and I thought, can I get that dimension on a page without using all that product, so, you know, the dimensional product. Here I'm just putting some Tombow Mono Multi Liquid Glue on a stamp, and what you do is you just a thin coat, the ones that have lost their stickiness, put it aside, let it dry completely, and then it's a repositionable glue stickiness. So I just printed out a heart from lightweight cardstock, and I made sure that I kept the outside of that, the negative part, intact because I use them both. Sort of using the heart as a mask at the moment, and I just stamped an unknown script stamp with some jet black archival ink. Now I'm taking a Tim Holtz layering stencil. I think that was Clockworks. I've got it here somewhere, but I've lost it. Anyway, it's in the description. This is a Delusions Bubbles stencil with some brilliant gold acrylic paint. I think the video is too fast for me to keep up with the narration. Now, I just wanted a circle shape here with a bit of dimension. So I took a stamp from a Kaisercraft set and inked it up with some brushed pewter, but it didn't really show too well. So I'm going to add some black soot. Both are distress paints. And mix that all up and tried to stamp that. And it was too black then. So I end up going in and patting off the paint with a, I think it was almost dry, baby wipe. Married. That was the set. Simon Says stamp it was. So look at all your stamp sets. You'll find some different background style stamps in a lot of the sets. So this was, I think, some confetti or some sprinkles or something within that same set. So I took some iridescent silver and added to the circles. Just showing you here that the camera wasn't rolling when I'd stamped that heart. And I can't remember what I used, but it would have been on screen. And this same heart, well, this heart, the heart outline, was from the same set. So I just took some, I think that was Onyx Black VersaFine ink and stamped over those hearts. Tried to offset it a bit. Now this is from a Creative Expressions stamp set, the Vintage Artist, and I stamped those brushes. Yeah, and I wanted to sort of continue the handle of the brush down, but it didn't sort of work too well. So I'm putting some iridescent silver on the brushes, but it covers up the detail. So I end up not worrying about the detail, just putting the silver on, and then I'll use my stamp positioning tool to stamp over it with the ink again. And I just stamp that on that piece of acrylic with VersaFine ink because it's easier to wipe off than the jet black, because the jet black is pretty much permanent straight away, whereas the onyx black takes a while for it to set. And then I go back in and I stamp it with the jet black archival ink. And this is some Brilliance. Um, right, Starlight Black. I think it's by Tsukaneko. Now I just punched a circle stamp so I could use it as a mask, and stamping this star that I got from the Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous Bitty Grunge set. See, there's all these little things in all these different sets. Now here I am taking a clock. I think that was from the 13th hour Kaisercraft set. And I'm trying different shades of green. And I didn't like any of those. So the last one was a bit too light. So I end up using the olive in the Ranger archival, and that was a bit too bright. So I dulled it down with a wet baby wipe, and now I'm just going to second hand stamp onto the page with it. And this was from the 13th hour Kaisercraft set as well. And I'm just stamping that with some, oh, what is it? Antique linen distress paint. So lots and lots of different layers here. Now this is the Gears layering stencil from Tim Holtz, and using the PBO Iridescent Precious Gold. So I wanted to try and get some dark colours in there, but I also wanted some bright pop, well, not bright, but shiny metallic in there. And this is smoky grey VersaFine ink, using a background stamp from the Bitty Grunge set again. And I didn't want it to be too prominent, that's why I used the grey. Now here I go again with the embossing. So this is the mini receipt stencil by the Crafters Workshop, and I just put some Versamark clear embossing ink over that, and now the black Stamp It embossing powder. And I thought this was the only way of getting the dimension, texture, whatever you want to call it, rather than adding the bulk, because it is a journal book, and I don't like to, because I've got to paint on the other pages, so I don't want it too bulky. So still going with this receipt stencil. I don't know what it is about the embossing powder lately, but I seem to go for it just about every page. It's so messy. Alright, I'm peeling this heart off now, and I think that embossing has melted on, well, it's melted and attached that parts of that heart to the page. And it ripped a bit there, so I just had to glue it down. I take some of the blues that I painted earlier and sort of just went over those dark bits. Yeah, I think it was the bright aqua green and maybe the PBO iridescent blue green or green blue, one of them. Now what I'm thinking. So I'm taking the negative of that stencil I cut, and I'm taking an Pit Artist brush pen and just going around the outside to define that heart. And I'm just clipping that negative piece to the album so it doesn't move around too much. And taking the mini tile texture stencil by the Crafters Workshop, and I'm using the Ranger Embosser Dabber with that one. It's juicier. And the black embossing powder, and it goes everywhere. So I just take a paintbrush and brush a bit of that off as well before I heat emboss it. Now I'm taking a Wow embossing pen and just stroking some lines on there, again with the black embossing powder. And the lines are a bit too thick, so I just grabbed a paintbrush and tried to thin them out before heat embossing it. The same Creative Expressions Vintage Artist stamp set, and just a couple of stamps, solid, like they're a brush stroke. Two of those there are in that set, and just inking it up with some Ranger Jet Black archival ink. And this is just a script stamp from the same set with the jet black again. Now, this is some PBO iridescent blue black, and I'm also using the iridescent blue green. And I just wanted it a bit darker in a bit more contrast in that section on that right side. So it's going to be the sort of darker side. Put some iridescent blue green and some antique linen and some brushed pewter as well. just to try and give it a bit of texture. Oh, now I'm using my new Nouveau Embellishment Mousse. That's a mouthful. And just trying to get some shine in there. So aquamarine, fresh copper, and mother of pearl. They're the only three I've got of them. And I have watched a couple of videos recently where these dry up after non-use. So I've got to be careful with those and make sure I screw the lid on tight. This is some Treasure Gold. White Fire is the colour. It's a wax gilt. Now what I'm thinking, I'm trying to darken that right side a bit more. Not too dark, because remember I've got a lot of black on the background. And I want this to pop out. There's that, it's like a wire mesh background stamp from the Bitty Grunge set. Now I'm bringing out my portfolios and trying to do some shading. So I use the black, I use the cerulean first, and the blue violet, and then I've got black and I've got white as well. So just trying to put a thinner coat, shall we say, on the left hand side and darker on the right. You're just trying to get that um, sheen, contrast, gloss on that top left side. Yeah, still not happy with it. So I get out the, what are they, gelatos, the champagne gold, because I lost a bit of that treasure gold after I put the white portfolio on there. And then I go back with the white. And here's the mother of pearl, and that helped a bit more. That was the fresh copper Nouveau Mousse. And the aquamarine again. Still not happy with that top left area. I was looking a bit too clean. Trying to find my brush pen to go around the outside of that heart again. Must have forgotten to put the fast forward on that bit. Yeah, It's all right. Yeah, what? Aha. The watered down gesso with the fan brush. Remove the mask heart. I'm just dabbing it off that black around the edge there, and I think I'm done. So yeah, I'm okay with it. It could have been a bit more structured, I think. There's the black's too everywhere for me. Anyway, I enjoyed doing it. Made a massive mess, and I think I've got a picture at the end here. Which so thank you so much, everyone, for all your support, and I'll be just stay tuned for the rest of the photos, and I'll be back with another page soon. Bye.